One thing I want to talk about, Jay, real quick before we move on to the final part of this podcast, I just want to say, I'm really sorry to hear about what happened to MV Young and his show this past weekend, the MV's PolyAm Woodstock, a show meant to celebrate and highlight wrestlers of color, wrestlers of different sexual orientations, really celebrating all the wrestlers in the LGBTQ community. It was supposed to take place in upstate New York this past weekend.
But, I heard about that.
Yeah, but it was canceled at the last minute because apparently some Karen, we don't know the actual name of the person, somebody called the cops and shut the whole thing down, which seems really disappointing. And there's some people on Twitter, and the reason as to why seems really unclear, and no one has been able to confirm one way or the other. Sounds like there might have been some altercation, allegedly, between one of the fans or one of the wrestlers and somebody who is living in that neighborhood over parking in front of their property or something.
They must not listen to us because we say don't be a dick.
Right. So that's never been confirmed, never been corroborated or verified, but there seems to be some spat, allegedly, that led to the cops coming in and shutting the whole thing down. It was maybe not the right location, and maybe the wrong person got upset, and then the cops come in and shut it down. It does seem unfortunate, and I really feel bad for all the workers involved. I know Vinny Massaro was somebody we know from California who was booked on that show.
Is he poly?
I don't think he's part of the PolyAm cult. I think I don't know, maybe he's just an ally. I can't speak to that, but he was booked on the show, and it wasn't just LGBTQ wrestlers that were on this show. It was I said, it was a variety of people, but those were the ones who were getting highlighted and stuff on this show. And there were match sponsors as well. I know Dark Chic was going to be on the show, and she was actually sponsoring parts of her body to write on for sponsorships and stuff.
Oh dear God.
But needless to say, a lot of folks were out of money on that, and possibly no more so than MV, who I know was personally bankrolling this show. And then everything got shut down, and then he's left holding the bag. Go and look up the hashtag PolyAm Woodstock on Twitter, and you'll find a lot of resources and a lot of threads highlighting, as, hey, if you want to help support these workers who got shorted, or if you want to help support MV, go check that out. His link is paypal.me/MichaelYoung416 if you're curious. But there's a lot of other people who are affected by this, so I just want to do a bit of a signal boost and let people know that, hey, a lot of good men and women were really screwed out of this by, one Karen, one negative Nancy calling the cops and shutting stuff down. And so I think it sucks. And, Jay, you and I, we've heard stories about shows getting shut down by cops. That's nothing new. And it's almost always some ulterior motive. There's somebody who knows somebody who would benefit from that show being shut down.
Dude, we've seen that happen just here in the Reno wrestling scene.
Yeah, it happens.
It does. And all it takes is one phone call to a fire chief or something like that, because just as well as I that 9 out of 10 indie shows are ran without the proper certifications.
Yeah, and especially especially in states like California and Nevada, where the regulations on wrestling are a lot more lax than others. Right. Yeah, there's going to be some outlaw feds. There's going to be some feds that doing things that other promoters and other wrestlers aren't going to cotton to. And so, yeah, that has happened. I mean, we have seen that happen. I don't think I've been a part of a show that's been shut down by cop stoppage, but I know a lot of people who have, and it's really disappointing. And it almost always boils down to some insignificant shit that any objective police officer,
right,
or anyone who doesn't have a finger or have a stake in this thing or a finger on the pot, would kind of turn a blind eye to, or it wouldn't matter.
Right.
And so that's what I feel this situation is as well. There's hardly ever a noble reason to shut down a wrestling show via cops, so right. That's why I say, again, if you want to support the folks behind the PolyAm Woodstock, you can go check on Twitter, hashtag PolyAm Woodstock, and just see how you can help.
Want to hear more? Subscribe to This Week in Regret on YouTube for full episodes of the podcast, dropping every Thursday night. Don't forget, we're also on SoundCloud.